Hi, welcome to this exciting series. It is 5 mental models for succeeding in 2023. It's the different frameworks, mindsets, strategies that I use to plan my 2023, what to prioritize, and how you can allocate your resources strategically so you can have a kick-ass year. So today, I'm going to go into the topic of prioritizing and a mental model on where best to allocate your resources. And which leads me to my new, toy, which is, the iPad that I have, and because I'm going to share my whiteboard. And I've always been more of a whiteboard person, but for whatever reason, I've never been able to I never been able to buy the iPad due to just having no time and focusing on other things. But today I'm going to go into the first part, which is model 1. Just thicken it a bit. So model 1, which I call chance mapping. So what does chance mapping actually mean? It is based on a principle by a really famous polymath called Buckminster Fuller. And Bucky is pretty much one of the top polymaths in the world. He's really the king of everything, like a lot of the architectures, a lot of the biospheres, personal development, even the electric grid, all came from ideas from him. But one of the key ideas that he likes to talk about is a principle I call precession. And what does precession mean? Precession there's a huge scientific term to it, but essentially it just means domino effects. It means that when you do anything, so I'm drawing a badly drawn domino, and when you knock down the domino, it just creates an effect. It creates a ripple effect. And these things are spontaneous. These things sometimes are unintended. Sometimes you have intended consequences, but a lot of time is unintended. It's serendipity. And serendipity is, accidental discovery of something good. But what's interesting about serendipity is it leaves clues. Serendipity actually leaves you success clues on how you can move forward, because a lot of serendipity is either God or the universe giving you a sign. And that's also part of what Bucky talks about as well. As he beautifully put it, the key question he asks his disciples, his followers, the people that he mingles with is, what are the precessionary gifts of the day? So what are the gifts of the day? But now we're going to expand that concept into something that helps you for 2023. So basically now, the key part of this component of this strategy, I call it chance mapping, but the very, very fundamental part of it is really a 3-word thing. And that is, you prioritize by precession, which basically means you look at the different precessionary effects you have over the years, or over the last 1 year or the last few years. You see the domino effect that has come out, both good and bad, and you map out your new year based on what your precessionary effects tell you. Does that sound cool? So what happens, because these signals give clues to where you're heading. So think of it like connect the dots. So again, I call it chance mapping because this is a chance map. I call it chance map because precessionary effects create coincidentals that create chances. And then you start connecting the dots. So you look throughout the year and you actually say, okay, what are the different effects that has happened? For instance, I bought a ticket to Mimosa Mastermind. It was a very expensive mastermind. I didn't know what to expect. And the interesting thing about precession is that you often have a desired outcome and you work towards a desired outcome, but a whole bunch of, you may not actually meet that desired outcome, but all the other outcomes, there's a whole bunch of, again, domino effects, ripple effects that happen that you didn't anticipate. And then you include it into your plan. So I went to Mimosa and, you know, my desired outcome was I wanted to, let me just thicken this a little. So I wanted to find more partners for Holy Grail. That was my main intention. I invested a huge amount of money because I know that if I have 1 or 2 JV partners, we'll start doing well. But what's really interesting is that I went there, and even though I didn't find ideal partners because it wasn't my industry, but it was a whole bunch of different industries, especially the health industry. And so what I saw was, let me just change the color, is you actually have a lot of people from the health industry. So I'm going to do health that are making a lot of money. I got to know a lot of the 8-9 figures, so a million of people on their list from that. And this is multiple times. This is actually repeated a few times. So if it actually repeats a few times, you probably need to pay a bit of attention to it. So again, this is like connect the dots. You see this thing, and then, okay, so maybe I need to do a health product to leverage the health list. I mean, I go on ClickBank, create, you know, because I'm already a copywriter who's earning 25,000 from health. I mean, I already have health products, but the supply chain disrupted it a bit. But maybe I should renew going into it because that might be a signal. I mean, not everything are signals, they are false starts, but I'm just giving you different instances. So another thing that happened, again, a coincidence that happened during Mimosa, and this is just for one event, and you can actually extrapolate out your event, is I spoke on Frankenmind from stage. I wasn't supposed to speak. It was just because no one was speaking on strategic thinking. Everyone was speaking on other things. And so what happened is I spoke on strategic thinking. And what it did, it created key relationships. So I know some of the top people in the industry that want to come to Malaysia, hang out with me, learn from me. So that's another key relationship. And again, we're probably include some of that in our next year's planning. So we run an event, we invite them, is part of that. One of the most interesting things is I managed to, we're in talks for me to guest lecture at one of the more prestigious business schools in New York. And that's interesting. It's like, wow. So this business school worthy, again, chance mapping, right? And so what happens is that we now may be able to create a syllabus for higher learning. So, you know, so this is supposed to be an institute of higher learning. or you can spin off into, you know, Harvard Business School. You can spin off into corporate, because once it's business school worthy, you can teach corporate training as well. So again, that's something, hey, there's an arm I might be able to do here. And the other thing about this Frankenmind is now I know I can get 8-9-figure clients. Most of my clients are 6 to 7 figures, and I'm blessed to have them. WYODC runs on them, the copywriters, the solopreneurs, and everything. But now there's an entirely new market that just opened. Pretty cool, right? So let me just give you one more, and we'll call it a day for this session. So again, we look at different precessionary effects. So one of the things is I basically hired a JV manager. So I hired a JV manager, and what's interesting about her is that she's suddenly given me a lot of all these different connections and people. And all these connections are spreading out into different areas, different things. I got to know the top dating guy, like, so there's all these really random connections. I'm currently in some of the top webinar groups. I'm actually in one of the top masterminds in the world, all because I hired Michelle and she created that. And then this year, I'm like, okay, these are the relationships I should prioritize. These are the certain people I should prioritize. And then one of the interesting things is, as I hired her, I didn't know a lot about, let's say, the webinar industry as much. I always been doing my own thing. I always been just you know, minding my own business and whatnot. And now there's this entirely new industry. We're experimenting with a few webinars. We have a new cash flow and a new acquisition system because of this, you know, newfound world that I've seen, all because I hired Michelle, and she has done all that. And so what happens is, yeah, we now have clues on how to plan for the new year. And so what you want to do is connect the dots. You just connect the dots as if, you know, you're like the child you play, you're like, hey, it's forming a picture. It's forming a picture of 2023, right? So it's really forming a picture of 2023. And that's what you do, prioritize by the precessions, by what the signals the universe are telling you to do. So next year, you know, I still have WYODC and it's doing well. Like the signals are telling me to do that. But there are other signals telling me that I should diversify and further along it in other different areas as well. And then there's so much of these different things that have happened. Like, I mean, things like, you know, I actually closed a $2 million business deal, made a killing out of that. And I was like, okay, maybe I should go and do more of these sort of deals. So again, I hope this helps you. And this is what I call the chance mapping strategy. Now go use it to make some money. And I do want to highlight that for a limited time during this 5 days, I reopened the Inevitably Incredible program. It starts from $41. It's really nothing. And it's really my entire planning process that Laura and I developed to set up WYODC for success. And I reopened it because, you know, it was the holidays. The response wasn't what I hoped for, just because everybody was on Christmas and everything. My bad for launching it so late because I fell sick and whatnot. So I'm just giving you one last chance to get it before we pull out the market till, you know, end of the year. So to get it at limited time, just go to the link in the description and I'll see you on the other side. Bye.